Sinn Féin were so focused on taking full advantage of the expenses system, they set about it systematically. And they even set up their own research company.
Shortly after the signing of the Good Friday Agreement, the party established Research Services Ireland Limited, with an address here on the Springfield Road in West Belfast. Over a 10-year period, their MLAs claimed almost £700,000 from the Assembly's office expenses, and that went straight into their company.
According to Companies House, RSI Limited is still an active company. So we dispatched our researcher to see if we could get some work done. We gave him a cover story as a PhD student looking to commission some work. RSI have no website and their number didn't seem to be working. So he visited the Springfield Road.
Hello, I'm looking for the research company.
For the research?
Yeah, research services.
Right. Who are you needing to see?
I'm doing a PhD between London University and...
Have you got a card? It's just, or people are out at the moment in meetings here. Have you got a card?
Okay, what I'm doing is a research project, and I need to commission some research in this area. Is there something...
I'm not familiar with the company, so I'll ask one of the personnel to call you. All right.
Could I have are you not involved with the company?
No, I'm not involved. I'll pass on the details and come back to yourself.
Just for saying,
yeah,
thanks very much. But it is the right place, isn't it?
I'll speak to the people that's involved in that. They're a very small company, so I'll give you a shout.
Okay.
Right, not a bother.
Thanks very much.
Right now. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
For a decade, 36 of Sinn Féin's current and former MLAs claimed for work done by RSI. Alex Maskey, Martina Anderson and Pat Doherty were among the party's highest claimers. But the highest was the Deputy First Minister, Martin McGuinness, who claimed almost £42,000 in 10 years. In our review of office expenses, former Alliance MLA Seamus Close was consistently the lowest overall claimer, regularly getting half the costs of most MLAs.
What sort of research would necessitate paying that type of money? And again, what's it about? I mean, if you're at ministerial level, you've got more staff and special advisors, etc., advising you. Do you need then to go out and get other information? Do you need to get other research done? Or is it not all there?
When we analysed 10 years of Sinn Féin's research and secretarial claims, we noticed an unusual pattern. Their system for claiming seemed to be well coordinated. Many of the sums were for the same amount. They ended in surprisingly round figures, and many were submitted on the same date. We went to Companies House to find out more. But that wasn't much help. It seems RSI have an exemption for small businesses and only have to provide abbreviated accounts. Though we did find the names of the people who ran the company. The sole shareholders and directors are Seamus Drum and Sinead Walsh. They told Spotlight they were unpaid. They're from Republican backgrounds. Both Seamus Drum's parents were IRA leaders. His mother Moira was Vice President of Sinn Féin. She was murdered by Loyalists in 1976. Seamus too joined the IRA. He studied economics in prison. Sinead Walsh is a former Republican prisoner. Her husband read out the IRA statement declaring their war was over.
The leadership of Ogie and Ahern has formally ordered an end to the armed campaign.
But running a research company was just one of Drum and Walsh's activities. When Seamus Drum gave evidence to a House of Commons committee on standards in public life, he was introduced as the Sinn Féin 6 Counties Manager for Finance. His day job, along with Sinead Walsh, was running Sinn Féin's Finance Department, which has direct responsibility for MLA's expenses. Since the Assembly was established in 1998, one rule has been clear. The purpose of office expenses is to meet costs incurred wholly, exclusively and necessarily in the course of a member's duties. So how could 2 members of Sinn Féin's finance team run a company that was getting money from expenses? We spoke to a journalist who helped uncover the Westminster expenses scandal.
One of the directors of RSI Limited, Seamus Drum, was a finance officer for Sinn Féin with direct responsibility for MLA expenses at the same time as his company was trading directly with MLAs.
I mean, that from the sound of it sounds like a direct conflict of interest that at the very least should have been declared, I would have thought.
What's your reaction to that in terms of a conflict of interest?
Well, the conflict of interest is obvious. Clearly, it just rather confirms the arrangement. This was not about setting up good quality research arrangements, but was about attracting public funds to carry out party political objectives. And if, in fact, funds were being fed to this research organisation over a 7 or 8 year period without anybody asking any real questions, then once again there's something wrong with the system.
But the real question is, did RSI Limited actually do the work claimed for by Sinn Féin MLAs? We couldn't find any evidence of that. And why would the party have to spend nearly £700,000 on research when there are excellent facilities here in the Stormont Library, with a team of full-time researchers working for members and committees? 5.5 months ago, we wrote to former and current Sinn Féin MLAs who have claimed for work by RSI. We asked them to tell us what research was done, who did it, and how it benefited their constituents. We got replies from just 3 people at the time.
They weren't prepared to appear on camera, but all 3 referred us to the party's finance department, which they said had dealt with all their expenses. One said, "We worked as a party, not individuals." Another MLA said they'd never heard of RSI until they saw it on their annual statement of expenses. They didn't know of any MLA having had research done by RSI and had never heard any such research being discussed at party meetings.